Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Are you ready for some rain? Well, that's what a lot of North Mississippians are asking heading into these overnight forecasts and into the start of your Thursday. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 10. I'm meteorologist Gabe, and we are tracking a dry day transitioning into a rainy day. Yes, that is what to expect for our Thursday. And of course, with that rainfall comes a rescheduling. A lot of those parades being rescheduled. We'll track where those parades are going to be rescheduled to coming up in just a moment, or should I say when. They're going to be in the same locations, but just accommodating for that rainfall, wanting to be on the safe side because that rain is on the horizon right around the corner, continuing to build exactly where we said it would. And that forecast shaping up once again to be a soggy one for the start and close to our Thursday. And those cold temperatures, yes, continue rain or shine. We're also going to have playoff action happening as well. Our Will Kohlmeyer joining us and talking about the latest for those matchups heading into your Thursday with state championships on the horizon as well. A fun one for sure. The first 12, dry conditions for now. Continue by 11 p.m. with at freezing for those temperatures. But by 2 a.m., 20% chance pushes in. By 5 a.m., starting to become a little bit more scattered in nature with 40% chances. Still at freezing for the start of our Thursday. So it's going to be a soggy one, but that's what we're talking about with those cool temperatures, rain or shine. With the dry weather today, we were at freezing. With the rainy weather tomorrow, we're going to continue to be at freezing. Temperatures climbing through the day, 44 by 11. With those chances, you think they're fading away, but they build back by the afternoon. So let's take a look across the region. 30 degrees in Aberdeen right now. Dew point still at 30, so we're not expecting it to drop too much from where we sit right now because that moisture, of course, building back into the forecast. When those dew points climb, so do these temperatures because, of course, temperature can't be lower than those dew points. So that's really a great way to figure out that limiting factor. Clarksdale, 40 degrees, dew point at 39, a little bit further out west. And you can see exactly that difference that we're talking about. More moisture in the air, the warmer those temperatures get. And that's where we'll continue to sit even heading into early tomorrow morning with those rain chances looming on the horizon. Starkville, beautiful night there in Stark, Vegas. Going to be a fun one heading into your Thursday because we're talking football and not Mississippi State football. That's where we can be happy about it because Mississippi State football, it's been a letdown this year. I'm a State fan, so I can say it. But 32 degrees, it's going to be a cold one down there in Davis Wade. So if you're looking to head to those state championships, and I know Titletown is ready, as well as Calhoun City. We'll track those forecasts for you here on Mississippi Live Weather at 10. Speaking of that forecast, let's go ahead and get into it with our Mississippi Live Weather radar. Not tracking anything in the form of rainfall once again, and that's how it's been all day long. As we cycle this back over the last 6 hours, you can see it was in clear air mode. That's what those returns are. But throughout the night, it's just been dry. It's been clear, not really tracking much of anything. And even with those rainfall totals, I mentioned that it's been dry. Well, that's evident with the past 24 hours, not tracking a drop. And if we expand this out, we can see that those rain chances are starting to build down there towards Galveston, Houston, and up there around the, I believe that's Austin, Texas area. If we populate in those totals, you can see some heavy amounts, but we're only talking about 3/4 of an inch. And that's the heaviest portions of these showers. So once they move up here to North Mississippi, it will be a rainy day, but I'm not talking about high outputs of rainfall. We're still only talking about a 1/2 inch to an inch despite how long those light showers remain in place. So don't be fooled and don't think it's just going to be a complete washout everywhere with those rainy conditions. No, these amounts are only going to amount to about a 1/2 inch to a 1 inch. So not going to be impactful rainfall. Really, it's going to be that drizzle, the sprinkle that's just more annoying than anything else. All right, our analysis mode, you can see that front building into the region. That front is going to be the driver in this forecast, carrying out this batch of moisture, but more on the back side of this. This is going to be our secondary threat pushing into our Thursday afternoon. So if you escape those rain chances in the morning, don't test your luck too much because by the afternoon, that's going to be more of those widespread chances, and those are going to be where the more impactful rain comes from. Let's go ahead and get into that with our futurecast right here heading into your Wednesday night. You can see the heaviest portions out there along the Gulf Coast, and some rumbles of thunder expected, but not exactly the case whenever we go back here to North Mississippi. If you look right here, we're getting those greens and yellows to pop up, meaning that it could be heavier in some spots, but not those rumbles of thunder. This is going to be more of those stratus clouds that are developing that precipitation, not those cumulonimbus clouds that we talk about with thunderstorms. So this is going to be more of a uniform distribution of rainfall and just an pretty good soaking for the start of our Thursday. Those rainy chances continue into your Thursday morning, really remaining along and south of Highway 82, but don't be surprised if we get north of that into Chickasaw County, Calhoun County, and Yalobusha County. Even a few sprinkles, not impossible up there towards Tennessee, but those chances just get less the further north you go, and still that northerly wind in that forecast, those winds shifting a little bit more further south, and that's why, of course, that moisture building as well. But you can see the difference. I mean, those yellows and oranges popping up primarily down there towards Brookhaven and Hattiesburg. Up here in North Mississippi, just that light to moderate rainfall. And yes, I know it looks like it's going to stick around forever, but those do clear out by the late morning time frame, leaving us with some isolated chances. But then you get batch number 2. Round number 2 starting in the afternoon, and that's going to be the big reason why a lot of these parades have rescheduled, not wanting to get caught in the rain, and I don't blame them. So that next 24, you can see how those chances, they drop by midday, maybe even getting outside for some of those lunch plans, depending on where you're at and how that radar is shaping up. But by the afternoon, have that umbrella handy. We're talking 3, 4 o'clock right at 40%, 6 p.m. 70%, and continuing to remain in place into those overnight hours once again. I know it looks like it's continuing into Friday, but Friday looking a little bit drier. Same thing with your weekend. We're going to be looking at those forecasts here in the Room to Room Weather Center coming up in the next 60. We're also talking to our Will Kohlmeyer about those playoff matchups and what that forecast will look like. We'll have all of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 10 here in the next 60.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynard.
Oktibbeha County, all eyes are on you heading into our Thursday forecast because state championships are right around the corner. Again, we'll hear from our Will Kohlmeyer in just a moment. But first, let's talk about that forecast. 32 degrees right now, and that humidity, or basically measure of moisture, right at 100% because that moisture has returned. Setting the scene for that rainy morning for the start of our Thursday, but at freezing. You might think, well, that'll translate to some winter precip. No, not expecting that in the forecast. Maybe some developing way high up in the atmosphere, but once it reaches the surface, of course, melting before it reaches here, so don't be thinking that overnight. If you look at Rolling Fork, where the moisture's really building into the area, 46 degrees, so a 14-degree temperature change for about 5 or 6 counties. So that's really what to expect as that moisture builds in, warms up those temperatures, and sets the scene for a cold, rainy start to our Thursday. Oxford, you guys had your parades yesterday and it looked beautiful out there. 30 degrees though, so if you're having your parades this evening, well, you're still dealing with those cold temperatures. So take your bet. Either way, it's going to be a cold one. So tonight, it's a beautiful forecast. Folks out there out and about on Jackson Avenue and Highway 6 looking good to go in the sky, looking good to go on the roads, and pretty cold as well, so crank that heat in those trucks and in those cars. Going to be glad you did. Our Mississippi Live Weather Radar stays with those dry conditions once again, not tracking anything on our Mississippi Live Weather Radar right now. But as we look at our satellite imagery, it does show that moisture building in the form of some cloud cover out there along I-55, and that's going to be our heaviest portions with some breaks in those clouds over here on the east side of the state. But that moisture is building, and we can see that with our water vapor imagery as well. Talking at the 6 o'clock hour, how we're trending more towards that humid side of things, meaning that saturation is back in the forecast, and that's going to really start to build into our Thursday morning and Thursday afternoon. Look right here. There's Alexandria, Lake Charles, and New Orleans. We're trying to avoid That name right there. But if we cycle this over the loop real quick, you can see how this is just continuing to bubble up, similar to what we saw at the 6 o'clock hour. Watch how this is just gradually built over time. So exactly what Futurecast has shown us is what we're expecting to continue to happen, with those best chances still along those coastal regions where those higher storm tops remain. But some of this does get into the southern end of our viewing area, giving us those rain chances for the start of our Thursday before more back behind it builds in as well. And you can really see that with our Mississippi Live Weather Radar, that batch of moisture out there towards Louisiana, Texas, and even towards southwest Mississippi. Momentarily, that's going to be moving into the area. And if we cycle this on a loop as well, help you get a visual on that, moving it over the past 3 hours. You can see it's just started to build more and more coverage, and more of those storms developing right there on those Gulf Coast regions. So folks that live along the Gulf Coast, have that rain gear ready. Or if you know of anyone in Hattiesburg or Gulfport, going to be a rainy one for sure. But that continues all the way up here in North Mississippi, just not going to be impactful rainfall. So our day planner overnight does have those rain chances moving in, not by midnight, so falling asleep to those dry and calm conditions, but by 3 a.m. you can see 30% chance in that forecast, 32 degrees relatively speaking. That's kind of the general average across the area. So don't think, oh, 32 degrees and there's a chance of rain. No winter precip is going to be happening tomorrow. We are expecting it to be a cold rain, but where that moisture forms, the temperatures do climb, so we're not going to be below that freezing threshold for us to have any type of winter precip. Not really expecting that in our forecast. All right, bringing it back here to our Futurecast, you can see that cold front moving across the region into those overnight hours. That's going to be driving that moisture and keeping it further towards the south. If this were to develop even a few counties north, you're looking at a completely different setup with more coverage. Not the case though. And so that cold front keeping a lot of those chances and a lot of those significant showers and storms out there, off there towards the southern part of our viewing area, southern Mississippi. But what we get here in North Mississippi, not going to be nothing. We're getting some of those light to moderate showers, but not anywhere near that impactful rainfall that where folks are getting further towards the south. So carry that over to your Thursday morning. You can see that those rain chances continue to linger in Grenada, Greenwood, Bruce, Houston, Amory, and everywhere south of those towns I just mentioned. So 6 a.m. if you were in any of those locations, make sure to have that rain gear ready, because you don't want to be heading out the door and getting sopping wet before the day's even started. And then you add the cold to it, it just gets to be a miserable day. So have that umbrella ready heading out the door, and it's going to be a terrific Thursday. I can guarantee you of that. Low temperatures for your Thursday, again, relatively speaking, 40 degrees where that moisture is a little bit higher out there in Greenville, 37 Belzona, 38 there towards Cleveland, and 36 in Greenwood. Now, I do want to note that we had Clarksdale a little bit earlier on, and it was still in the low to mid 40s, so it's going to take some major cooling off for us to reach 35 degrees. So I think this is even a lower estimation than where things will sit into our morning commute. Bump these up probably 2 or 3 degrees, and we're talking 34 to 35 degrees for a large portion of North Mississippi. So where you see at freezing might be actually a little bit warmer if that moisture were to build, as we expect it to do heading into the start of our Thursday. Future wind chill, not blocking that or knocking that down too much. Still going to be a cold forecast, but not a breezy forecast, and that makes things slightly more bearable. Our school bus forecast pickup going to be right around that freezing threshold with 30% chances, and those chances, I know it looks like it continues all day long with those scattered threats. No, it clears up by midday, but then we push into the afternoon and that secondary threat moves in. 47 degrees, 40% chance of rainfall. Be glad you pack your rain gear with your kids tomorrow morning, because they'll be dry and hey, that's another layer to keep them warm. So all the more reason to make sure they stay dry throughout their Thursday. All right, let's keep that Futurecast going. And as you can see right here, that uniform precipitation continues to develop south of Highway 82. I mean, really significant rainfall down there in the New Orleans area, Hattiesburg, and Gulfport. We keep that going into your Thursday mid-morning and into the late morning forecast. A lot of those chances now push off towards Birmingham, leaving us with a very dry pattern over the top of North Mississippi. But this isn't the end of it. Like I said, there's basically 2 rounds that are going to be developing overhead, and the secondary round out here in eastern Texas and eastern Oklahoma, that building in. I know you see a lot of blue. It's getting your hopes up. No snowfall in this forecast. Still going to be a cold rain even by the afternoon. So watch how this builds into Little Rock, getting into that noontime hour, and really by early afternoon, starting to get into northwest Mississippi. Let's bring it back to our home view here real quick, and you can see that in a little bit more detail. You can see how that gradually pushes in across the Mississippi River by early afternoon, and by mid-afternoon, I mean, we're talking about a pretty decent downpour developing overhead. Not expecting significant rainfall. Again, those totals going to be anywhere from an inch at most in some areas. We could see some 1.5 inches in some spots, but I'm not overly sold on that. And that snow line that all of us are paying attention to, all of that blue and pink that's developing, excuse me. Oh man. Swallowed wrong. That's going to be primarily towards our north and northwest. So Memphis on there towards Jonesboro, Arkansas. It's going to be cold enough for maybe some winter precip up there, but not ever crossing that DeSoto County line over there in northwest Mississippi. And what we're left with here in North Mississippi, 6 p.m., yeah, a rainy forecast. So let's go ahead and get a list of those parades. Those parades, we had Fulton, we had Baldwin, we had Ackerman, Macon, and Verona, all happening Thursday evening, all having rescheduled, and great on the deciders of that, getting that rescheduled, because this is not a forecast anyone wants to be in. Fulton being moved to Tuesday, Baldwin being moved to Tuesday. This is that list of parades that we were teasing at the top of the broadcast. Ackerman rescheduled to Friday at 6 o'clock. That's Friday of this week. Macon rescheduled to Tuesday the 9th at 6 p.m. And then Verona being rescheduled to the following Thursday. That's December 11th. So if you're looking to head to any of those parades, those have been rescheduled. And of course, you can find that on Facebook as well for those respective locations. So make sure to stay updated, stay prepared. But I'm glad that everyone has rescheduled, because we definitely needed that. We needed to enjoy those parades, not in a rainy format. So keep that futurecast going, and we'll keep it with those high temperatures, bringing it back in here to North Mississippi. Again, moisture going to limit how much we warm up throughout the day. 48 in Water Valley, 46 New Albany, and 45 around Iuka, 48 Starkville, and 48 towards Belzona. Now, if we keep that futurecast going with the parade planner, yeah, this is the forecast we would have been experiencing if we had those parades in place. So shout out everyone that was in the postponement process. Props to you guys. You guys made the right choice with 70% chance by 5, same thing by 7, and 50% by 9. And on top of that, cold temperatures remain in place. That's a miserable forecast that no one wants to be in. So everyone doing a great job with that forecast. There is one that I'm curious to see what will happen, and that is our game of the week happening Thursday night. Calhoun City playing at 4 o'clock, West Point playing at 7:30. Haven't rescheduled anything, but it's going to be a soggy one for sure. Davis Wade going to be probably having to repatch that field a little bit to accommodate for some of the ruts that we'll make with that muddy forecast. Of course, 20% for Calhoun City there, 45 degrees. That's going to be at 4 o'clock. But those chances, I think 20% is honestly on the lower end of the spectrum. I think we up that a bit. And West Point, 90% might be a little bit high, but either way, you're going to be dealing with that rainfall for kickoff around 7:30 and celebration, because we're speaking positive. We're having positive vibes. West Point, Titletown bringing home another one. Calhoun City bringing home one as well. We're going to be celebrating, and that's going to be 41 degrees. Still a rainy celebration, but hey, celebrations nonetheless. It's all going to feel good, and excited for everyone competing tomorrow. Best of luck, and we are rooting for you to bring that back to the north half of the area. We're repping you guys, Calhoun City Wildcats and West Point Green Wave. Yeah, we'll be repping those colors tomorrow. All right, well, maybe not green, because, you know, the background might look a little weird. All right, Futurecast carrying over into our Thursday night. You can see with some of those games happening, dealing with that rainfall once again, in Starkville being highlighted right there by 9 p.m. Yeah, West Point, unfortunately, going to be dealing with a literal wave of moisture right over the top of you guys playing that game. Might add to you, hey, adding another wave to the green wave. There you go. But looks good on the forecast if we can get past those rain chances. Temperature-wise, going to be cold beyond that point, maybe some wraparound moisture, but I do have us staying mostly dry for the start of our Friday once those chances fully clear out and move off there towards the east. Friday morning, waking up cold across the region, gloomy as well, but as the day goes on, a lot of that cloud cover does clear on out, and we're going to be left with some breaks in that cloud cover, warming us up nicely by our Friday afternoon. But that's not really the big story for our Friday. The big story is the fact that it's dry, is the fact that it's going to be a great forecast for those parades. 3 p.m. still looking good to go for the setup of the Tupelo Parade. That's where we'll be Friday night. Can't wait to see everyone out and about enjoying the great floats and colors and sounds and lights. It's going to be a great one out there in Tupelo. Encourage you guys to join us if you don't have a parade. But yeah, there's also going to be Ackerman happening Friday at 6. So plenty of options. Of course, you guys can attend wherever you want to go, but Tupelo, that's where we'll be. 6 p.m. on your Friday. Still some light sprinkles developing there south of Highway 82, but Tupelo staying dry for that 6 o'clock hour. Expect that to be the same case as we get into those parade forecasts as well. 48 New Albany, 47 Boonville, 50 in Amory, 48 Greenwood, and 45 around Clarksdale for our Friday high temperatures. And of course, We have several games of the week this week. This one going to be Kosciuszko playing at 4 p.m. there in Starkville and Warren Central. Our North Half representative, although it's not a part of our viewing area, we'll still cheer on our North Half friends. That's going to be at 7:30. 46 degrees for Kosciuszko in that 4A matchup, and Warren Central coming in with 44 degrees for 6A. 20% chances all game long and all games long in celebration for Kosciuszko. The Whippets hopefully bringing home that state title. First one, I believe, but of course Will Kohlmeyer, he'll have the latest on that. And speaking of, our Will Kohlmeyer is previewing our matchups for tomorrow. Our Thursday matchups, we know that's West Point, and we know it's Calhoun City. He'll have the latest on what to expect, and he joins us now with the latest on those matchups.
Welcome to Kohlmeyer's Corner. We've been talking high school football all season long, and now we are finally here. The state championship clashes at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville. I've been there 2 of the last 3 nights, kind of leading up to what we've got coming up on Thursday. Today, I'm in the studio, and let's start with the first state championship game on Thursday. It's an afternoon game at 4 o'clock. Calhoun City in 1A taking on Simmons. This used to be called Hollandale Simmons. A couple years ago, they switched over to Simmons itself. And let's start breaking this one down. For Calhoun City, they're looking for their 3rd state title ever, and their first since 2016. And they've got a quarterback, Harlan Pittman. We've talked about him throughout the course of this season. He can really get it done through the air and on the ground. In fact, he's accounted for 2,000 yards of total offense and 28 touchdowns when you combine his rushing and passing total. Now, Simmons comes in. They've won 3 state titles, and they won it all in succession. I don't know if you remember, but back in 2015, 2016, and 2017. So Calhoun City starts it off against Simmons. Now, we switch our attention from 1A to 5A, and we've got a game that will have, I think, a huge crowd as West Point, not much of a drive this year to play for a state championship, and their fans heading over to Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville as they'll take on Brookhaven, and this will kick off at 7:30. West Point going for their 14th state title, and that's the best. Well, of course, they already got 13. They won it all last year. That is number 1 right now in Mississippi. They're going to try to add to that total for one more on 14 with their win if they can get one against Brookhaven. I was talking to West Point head coach Brett Morgan earlier this week, and I asked him what's been stressing him the most. He said, Brookhaven. I was like, and he said the entire team. And there's a reason why. They've got a very talented quarterback that can really beat you both ways, like we talked about before, running and passing. His name is Jaden Allen. And folks, he has accounted for 37 touchdowns this year. He has led Brookhaven. What a year they've had. Yes, they've lost 2 games, but they have not lost to any 5A teams, which this, of course, is the 5A state championship game. And that should be dandy. You see what both those teams can do offensively and defensively. So that sets the table for the Thursday matchups. I'll continue my previews the rest of the week, but for now, that'll do it for this edition of Kohlmeyer's Corner.
Thank you, Will. And exciting times here in Mississippi as our state championships take off Thursday. And of course, Will join us for Friday matchups, for Saturday matchups. And yeah, he was put through the gauntlet getting all of this together. And so excited to hear more on what he has to say for all the matchups here in North Mississippi. But we are hoping to bring home 2 state titles tomorrow. Calhoun City and West Point should be a great game. Got to see both of those teams earlier on this year, and both looked dominant. If you would have asked me after we saw Calhoun City take on Vardaman, yeah, I would have told you Calhoun City was state championship bound. West Point, that's the obvious choice, of course, 13-0. So excited to see what happens, and we're going to have those score updates happening at 5 and 6 tomorrow evening with the latest on Calhoun City should be wrapping up, and then West Point will have updates coming at 10 with the latest on that score and those finals, and hopefully some trophy celebrations as well. Now, I do want to say Thursday forecast looking like a soggy one for sure down there in Davis Wade, and whenever it's a soggy forecast, that usually means more running the ball to try and, because of course catching it a little bit slick might be tougher. So they run the ball a little bit more, and West Point's ground attack, oh man, yeah. If it turns into a ground attack, I'm not a betting man, but I'd put my money on West Point. And Calhoun City, same thing. They were a ground and pound offense, and they looked pretty good in the process. Friday, for those games as well, I know Forget which matchups there are, but we'll have the latest on that. 20% chances. Still a cold forecast with 49 degrees for those highs. Going to be a great one in Tupelo as we go to the Tupelo Christmas Parade. And then everyone in Tupelo can head to those games down in Davis Wade on Saturday. 7A matchup taking place as the nightcap there on Saturday. So should be a good one. 52 degrees, dry conditions. That's the big thing that stands out. 20% by Sunday, 55 degrees. So gradually warming up through the weekend. But then once all the moisture clears out, cold conditions push in. 47 degrees for highs, 34 there for your Monday low, and heading into the start of Tuesday, back into the 20s. Woo! Can't wait for that one. All right, if you have not done so already, go ahead and download that Mississippi Live Weather app. We appreciate everybody who has done so already. But for those that do have the app, I encourage you guys to snap a picture of your favorite Christmas lights. Can be your own or can be someone you know. But we want to showcase that with our Merry and Bright Christmas Light promo moving forward. We got to showcase a few of those already, but we want to continue that all month long with, of course, location and the lights and whoever's lights there are. And we appreciate everyone who has done so already, and we cannot wait to see all of those lights heading through the Christmas season. Again, thank you to everyone who has done so already, but for those watching that haven't and want to be showcased here on Mississippi Live Weather, go ahead and do so. Our next broadcast happening at,
I was gonna pop in and make you make your winter weather pitch to me.
Winter weather.
Well, I go up into Tennessee, and I've been working on stuff, so I missed most of your show. I've got to admit, I'm sorry about that. But I want to hear your winter weather pitch, your best one, because social media. Anytime there's even a slight chance there, I'm interested to see how it goes tomorrow when I start talking to people. I'm sure people are gonna be like, "We're gonna make your best pitch," because I'm Mr. Anti.
Well, I'll join you on that club for tomorrow in North Mississippi at least. I'm anti-winter weather. I don't believe it'll be happening because it's too warm. And I do want to say, since you may have not seen it, I'm going to bring it back here to those low temperatures tomorrow morning, because I know folks are going to look at our day planner and say, Gabe, it's cold and it's supposed to have rain. Those two things usually lead to winter precip, right? Well, not exactly. So where we expect the moisture to be the highest is going to be out west in Greenville, Cleveland, Belzona, and Greenwood. I mean, that's where those temperatures are a little bit warmer. But even then, temperatures, I think, are underdoing it. Clarksdale still sitting at about 40, I think it was at 42 degrees earlier, and falling off all the way to 35 with an already saturated environment. Don't really see that. So I would say bump up these temperatures just a bit, and then we're sitting above freezing. I mean, 1 degree makes that difference right there, and 1 degree separates it from being snow to rain. And that's what I believe will happen, especially with how warm things will be on the ground. That moisture being added to it is just going to make it that much warmer. So not really expecting it to be anything major. I'm not expecting any winter precip here in North Mississippi. Best chance, DeSoto County, and even then it's a very, very limited chance. I would say more towards Tennessee where you're going. I think you'll be driving into some potential sleet. I don't think it's necessarily going to be that pretty white snowfall. I would say it's more of the hazardous side of things with some sleet potential. But we are, again, it's going to be the temperature as the limiting factor. And I think even in Tennessee might be a little bit too warm as well. Okay,
so there, did you do it? Did you take him into one of these?
I did not open this up. I did not.
Okay. 18-hour one doesn't have anything in there.
You'll probably have to do the mix or the freezing rain or sleet potential one.
I need the longer one. NDFD. There we go. That's the one we should do. Let's play with it. I appreciate you not just showing these willy-nilly.
You might be playing with fire here, Matt.
Nothing there on NDFD. Wonder if I can make 80Z kick out something. I know what I'm looking for on this. I know about what it should show, but I'm interested to see if it does.
And I want to say, with one of the things we were talking about behind the scenes, very realistic possibility that we get some snowfall high up in the atmosphere, but melting on its way down to the surface. So the atmosphere, a very cool concept where it warms and cools throughout its duration coming down. And so it could very well melt before it reaches the surface. And even with temperatures at freezing, it could be at freezing for just a couple hundred feet, not exactly going to be a difference maker and not going to cool things off enough for it to be.
It should melt. That's how you get cold rainfall this time of year, right?
Exactly.
Like, oh, that rain's really cold. It's because it was snow, but not anymore.
Yeah, we. I don't know if you know this. So my mother-in-law, Miss Holly, she had a cat, and she had four kittens come, and one of the kittens was all white. And I was like, I'm going to name it the most scientific, nerdy name possible. So snow forms in what we call the dendritic growth zone.
I knew you were going to do dendrite.
Well, it wasn't dendrite. We named her Dendy. So Dendy is our all-white cat because the dendritic growth zone, if that doesn't happen, if that's not saturated, you don't get any snowfall at all. That's how those flakes form, is in the dendritic growth zone. And so we have to have that in our atmosphere in order for snowflakes to even be a possibility. But then we have to have the entire atmosphere be cold enough for that snowflake to make it. And as you can see, nada. So looking good.
That's a strike model, which typically during storm season is a little more aggressive. It is unimpressed when it comes to snowfall, isn't it?
It's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not shocked to see that. Let's see.
Now, where are you traveling to?
That's still 18Z there, huh?
Where are you traveling to in Tennessee? I forget.
I'm going up to right about there-ish, Lawrenceburg, Tennessee.
So you're going to be right on the cusp.
I think it's highly unlikely I'm going to see more than a few flakes on this. I think we're in good shape.
But that's more than us still.
It is. Not enough. I'm not going to tell Mrs. Lawpon. I'm not going to worry her about what's possible there. Shall we go down the GFS route just to see how nutty?
You can use it, and I will tell you that it's going to continue to verify it. And no models are really high on that snowfall track. Like it has it still north, and that's usually an aggressive one as well. Yeah.
Let's go dumb. Let's go the next week. Look at that. Nope. Yep, up north. Nope, down here. So,
you just made Miss Maynard very, very unhappy.
What? Miss Maynard wants to see snow. We ought to be taking her someplace else.
We might make a trip up north.
That's the way you get snow around here.
Well, she told me, she's like, Gabe, is there any chance over the next extended period that we could see us flake? I said,
no,
unfortunately. Unfortunately, there's always a give and take. And just like with the rain tomorrow, there's a give and take. We're going to have the drought monitor come out tomorrow morning, going to have drought in some spots. So the rain is very much needed. But then when you look at the parade forecast, it's unfortunate because we want it to happen. So, yeah.
It's just kind of both directions there. Anyway, okay. I just had to take the road down that twisty turn there as well.
Tis the season, so it's very worth.
It is. So hold on, let me get your audio back on that. There, go for it. Tis the season.
Said, tis the season. I mean, it's going to be the winter forecast. You're going to see on social media, snowpocalypse, even when it's a whole bunch of nothing.
Yeah. But as you just saw, even the aggressive stuff that we pull snowpocalypse off of, nothing really in the next week.
Praise God. And so that means we're going to be shaping up for a good forecast, hopefully continue that into the Christmas season as well. But of course, we will update you guys on every bit of that here on Mississippi Live Weather. Tomorrow, we are waking up bright and early with meteorologist Maggie McCauley, tracking the latest on that first round of chances. That's going to be 6:30, 7, and 7:30. And we will be back at 5, 6, and 10 with a live look at that radar and what to expect heading into the rest of our evening. Again, those parades have been rescheduled. So if you did have a parade scheduled for Thursday, don't go anywhere because it's not going to be happening. Look on those local sites on Facebook and you'll be able to tell where those parades are, or watch this broadcast back, and we mentioned them during the broadcast as well. We'll see you guys back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Until then, have a terrific Thursday.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.